Hello everyone, it's Trish Coggans again. I'm an interior designer. I've got a company called Outshine Interiors. You'll have seen me possibly on BBC Two Interior Design Masters a couple of years ago. We've got from On a Budget some fabulous questions that the community has asked me. One of the ones I get asked a lot is how to make a small space look larger. So the first thing is colour. So cool colours like blues and greens, they recede, so they're good to make a space feel larger. Warm colours sort of draw you in, so that's not as good for small spaces. So the other thing is mirrors are great because they bounce light around. So if you can fit big mirrors, maybe over your mantelpiece, the bigger the better in terms of, got to think of scale, but it will bring lots of light in. The other thing, now this sounds silly and this doesn't cost anything other than elbow grease, is clean your windows. Do you know what? That can make such a big difference. When you've cleaned your windows and they're sparkling and let the light in, the more floor space that you can see in a room, the bigger it feels. So have sofa on legs, have a coffee table that you can see through that's glass. So the more space, if you can have furniture that is built up onto the wall, the more you can see the floor, the better. How do you choose a colour palette? And there's so much out there. I do feel for you guys. So the biggest thing you can do, I think, is to start building your own mood board because there will be colours that you're drawn to. So I don't like greens particularly, but I love blues and pinks. So if you start collecting images on Pinterest or cutting out magazines, you'll start to get a feel what you're drawn to. The other important thing with choosing a colour palette is to really think about how you want that room to feel. Now this is really important. It's quite a difficult thing, but I try and simplify it. So if you want a fun room, you want it to feel bright and happy, you use what I call, or we call, the spring colour palette. So quite bright colours, lots of patterns. If you want a room to look quite bold and a real statement, you use a winter colour palette which uses a lot of black and white, a lot of strong fuchsias, teal turquoises, really making a statement. Another really important part of design is your lighting. So there's different types of lighting. One of the things I say to people is, if you can, put your lighting on a dimmer because that's really your main focal light. It's really good to be able to dim it when you want that cozier atmosphere. If you can't do that, and as well, it's important to have different types of lighting within the room, whether it's your bedroom or living room. So you'd have table lamps, you might have a reading lamp and a tall lamp, you might have some wall lamps. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot, and you guys have asked, is about accessories. How do you choose them? The important thing is to consider overall the style of your room, what sort of style you're going for, and your accessories have got to tie in with that. I think the other thing is as well, and this can be hard sometimes, but not overload too much. You can always add more and you can take away. So I think have some fun with it and play around. But there is a kind of general rule. We don't have to follow rules, but you might like to try it at home where you have things in groups of 3. So it's just quite pleasing to the eye. And it's really important with accessories, but with the design overall, that you really consider sort of height and space and balance and all those things. So if you've got a group of 3 objects, you might have one at this height, one at this height, and a smaller one at this height. And it just gives interest. If you've got them all the same height, it doesn't give that visual interest that you want. Is a wallpapered or painted feature wall best? So either, it's entirely up to you. Sometimes you have to be careful with feature walls because they can look out of place. So it is about balance and scale. You do have to think about, can you take that feature, paint or wallpaper all around the room, or actually does it need to be a feature wall? But you can use either. It's entirely up to you. Your choice. example. So one of the questions we've got is about how to incorporate stylish storage into small spaces. So you really have to think about every inch. So maybe at the side of a fireplace, and I did this in a playroom, or the clients did, they put some shelving down the side of the fireplace for children's books. You can have things like, I mentioned before, I think, footstools, which you might need in a living room, but you can have them with storage, so that's a really good idea. It's nice with shelving to have a mixture of sort of open and closed storage, so you can put things away, but you can also style accessories, and that helps with the design also. Things like baskets, you can get beautiful decorative baskets, boxes, really lovely boxes, or you can make your own. I'm sure there's people on a budget that have done that. It's how to choose a design style. And I can tell you, you've got the answer within you, because already there'll be styles that you know you like. For example, somebody will know that they love rustic and earthy and farmhouse style. Others will know that they love more traditional, elegant, very modern, contemporary. So you already have a feel. The best thing to choose your design style is to do that mood board. Start collecting images to really home in on what it is that you love. The other important thing with choosing a style, I think you do have to think about the home that you live in and the architecture. I think that's really important. So if you do live in a Victorian home, you might want to bring out those features, the traditional features, but you can go ultra modern as well. If you live in an ultra modern home, it's a little bit harder to bring in those more traditional features. You can do that, but it is important that you think about the space that you're living in, the architecture of your home. Can you mix traditional and modern? You absolutely can. With interior design, it's all about the balance. If you did equal amounts of traditional and contemporary, it could be too much. So I always think it's good to kind of veer towards one as the main kind of leader, and then have elements of another one. Another great question that somebody sent in is, what are the important factors to think about when designing your room? There's a lot of factors to take into consideration, but the main thing is to start with what's important to you, finding your style, what you like, doing those mood boards, really getting a feel for how you want your home to feel and look. So that's the first thing. The other thing is to really make it personal. I'm a big believer in that, and especially I think, you know, who needs millions of pounds to design a room? I think when you're doing it on a budget, you're far more creative, and this community has definitely shown that. Really gets you thinking to be more creative, and it makes the designs more you. Thank you so much for your amazing questions. I really hope I've answered them as much as I can in the small space of time. We have got some other videos coming, so I hope if I haven't answered them fully, they might help. Look out for those. If you don't already, follow On a Budget on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media, and follow Outshine Interiors. Go on, give me a thumbs up for that one, because I put lots of advice and tips on there as well, so that's a good source for you. But thank you for the questions, and I really hope I've answered them for you.